This video contains content sponsored by John Wilson Blades and MK Blades. Opinions discussed in this video do not reflect the views of John Wilson or MK. Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Jennifer Kirk.
And I'm Dave Leese. And Jenny, we finally have her on the show. I won't believe it until she's in the screen. But we finally have Mirai Nagasu. We've wanted her since we started TSL. We had to win her over a little bit. You know, I had to make an ass of myself on the ice, as one does, wearing Tom Z's skates and blades in Colorado Springs. We met her dog. I forget what his name was, but he was very cute. Lincoln,
Yeah. He came to the rink one day. He was very sweet. And like everyone in the skating world, we are huge Mirai fans. Maybe not always Dave saying the nicest things about her. We're going to ask her about...
Why me? Why am I just...
I don't think I ever said anything mean about her. I honestly think I was always like a champion. I always feel like her jumps are around. I'm making big, definite statements, but I've loved Mirai, and you've loved Mirai. Just maybe been a little bit more harsh.
We're tough on the ones that we love.
Yes, Max, Aaron, and Mirai. But we are very excited to speak to her. She had a phenomenal last few months, really skating so well at Nationals with that boot problem, not letting it...
sold us on the headband. I mean, really, this girl, she has done wonders this season.
And then a moment at Four Continents, really, I think one of the best skates of her career. We're going to ask her about that. So we are thrilled to spend the next hour or so with Mirai Nagasu, and we hope you guys enjoy this interview. Well, Mirai, welcome to the skating lesson. We have wanted to talk to you for so long. We had so much fun skating with you a few months ago when we were in Colorado, breaking in your boots and doing some choreography. And you've had quite a successful last few months. You were wonderful at Nationals. Four Continents was one of the performances of your career, both the short and the long program there. So how would you assess your season?
I think that it started off a little bit rocky. Like I had to find my groove first, and then at Nationals, I had a couple of problems, but I was able to push through them. And at Four Continents, I think because Nationals is so stressful because we all want to do our best to try to get another competition. I know I could have performed better, but I really performed one of the best performances, well, two good performances at Four Continents. So I'm so proud of myself and hope that next season I can start from this point and continue on instead of have to start from square one again.
Yeah, and work your way up.
Yes.
Well, it seems like you've had a real fight this season. We sensed it. We were in Colorado. We were probably not the two people you wanted to see on a Wednesday. But we saw it at Nationals that the broken boot wasn't going to stop you, or that triple loop at Four Continents you held on for dear life. So what drove you this season?
This is a hard question. I think that skating really means a lot to me, and I want to succeed. And I still have skating syndrome, which is when you take a few weeks or a month or whatever off for injury, and as soon as the first week goes by, you feel really fat and you feel like you need to exercise. And for me, that's going to the ice rink and skating my heart out or my butt out. And when you still have that syndrome, you know you want to keep going. So I still have that, and so I feel like I've been put down a lot in skating, but because I still feel like I need to go to the rink and I need to train, I still keep going, and I feel like that's my motivation.
Something you love that's continually driving yourself.
Yes.
Well, Dave mentioned the boot problem at Nationals, and this was a huge story. We were backstage. We saw Tom right after it happened, and he had, a photo that he was showing us of the boot, and he was talking to Mark at Jackson and everything. You seem so cool, calm, like cool as a cucumber the whole time. So what exactly happened, and were you as calm as you seemed?
Well, it definitely happened during my program. I'm not really sure when, but it felt funny after the flip toe. I think that jump was a little big, and I put way more pressure than I should have, especially because it's competition, and so it's hard to judge your adrenaline and nerves. But I mean, you guys know Tom and how much of a disciplinarian he is. So he trains us to keep going no matter what happens. So when I looked down after I finished, I realized it had ripped. But I was okay because I knew that Mike Cunningham, who is always at the Olympic Games and all the he takes care of all of our boots, so I knew he would take care of me. But and I let Tom freak out, and he really
He does that
did
really
not
well.
take it well.
I was gonna say he freaks out like a champion, you know.
Yeah, he had so many solutions, and I just told him, regardless of what happened today, I know that my boots, regardless of whether they're new or old or whatever happens, I'm trained and I'm ready and I want to go out there. I don't want to back down. So, like, you take care of this boot solution and I'll take care of getting rested up for the long program and getting my mindset back in where I need it to be.
So do you think that the booth wound up making a difference with your performance at nationals overall?
I mean, I feel like these things happen. Maybe not boot ripping, but people have had laces rip, and it's just part of the process. And you just the way a person gets up or how they react to the situation is what's important. And regardless of what happens to my boot, the competition is still going to keep going. And so I still wanted to be a part of it, I guess. So, you know, like, it did affect me, and I was really nervous before my long program. But Tom and I have this exercise where right before I compete, I grip his hands as tightly as I can, where I feel like I'm giving him all of my nervous energy. So I try to send my nerves about my boots to him in that moment, because I wanted to focus on my performance and I let him worry about my boots.
Well, we saw you skate so well a few weeks later at Four Continents, and this is not the first time this has happened. You're like the one skater who seems to actually do well at Four Continents. So how are you able to get up so quickly after nationals when it seems like no other skaters are?
Well, actually, this was my third time in Taiwan at Four Continents. The first time I did it, I did really well and I medaled, which I was really happy about. And then at the same arena, I actually had I got sick while I was there, and it happened a lot this time around too. Like, Grant got sick and Tara Kane was really sick too. I got lucky this time, so I think it's just that time of season when people get sick, and so sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. We try to get as much rest as possible, but I felt really well trained and ready to go, so I used that confidence to put the best I could out there.
Well, since then we've seen you do some shows. You were in New York, and obviously you're an alternate for the World Championships in a couple weeks. But have you had any time to really come down and just relax? Have you been back out on the ice skating, thinking about next season yet?
Well, I've still been training, and it's nice to have these shows to keep my stamina up and to keep me motivated. And I did my long program today and my short, and
Parabens.
it was killer. It's hard when you're not really sure what's going to happen, and 4 minutes is killer regardless of whether you have a competition or not. But I think I want to be ready in case something happens. So I haven't really thought at all about next season, but I've been having fun traveling a lot and going to places like New York City. So I think it's a good way to balance out my training as alternate life and training to be ready just in case.
Well, we first met you, I guess, back in 2007, because we feel like we know you so well. But when you won regionals, sectionals, and nationals at the junior level, and you were coming off a season where you missed qualifying for nationals at the novice level. So how did things kind of click for you that season?
In junior?
Yeah.
That's a long time ago, but...
This was your moment. You were on TV, you know. This was...
Yeah, you were the surprise winner?
Yeah.
I was so upset that going in novice that year, I mean, everybody has their picks for who goes to regionals or sectionals, sorry, nationals. I don't know, it was so long ago. Regardless, I did not make it to nationals out of novice, and the disappointment that I felt was so overwhelming. That was one of those years where I was like, I am not feeling like this next year. So who knew that I would go from regionals to sectionals to nationals and win all three? But it was a great year for me. And I think the year after, I got lucky and didn't hit the junior senior curse. And then I went to the Olympics. But I don't know. My career has had its ups and downs. And I think one thing that I try to emphasize is what's important is how I react to situations, because when you've been on the scene for so long, everything is in the public eye, and so everything happens. And I guess I've been through a lot of things, and I bet I'll still keep going through a lot of things, but that's life. And so I just try to handle it as best as I can to my abilities.
Well, you talk about being in the public eye, and that year you and Caroline were everywhere. It seemed like you were first on TV and people fell in love with you guys. You did so well at Junior Worlds. So did you get the sense that your life was about to change? You talk about going from not making nationals as a novice to suddenly you're on television. Did that compute in your mind when you're so young? Did you realize the magnitude of that?
Definitely not. I think when you're younger, competing is so much easier because you just go out there. And my mom used to tell me, like, it's okay if you fall. Nobody even cares. No one's even watching. Like, it's just another day. Like, you'll get over it. If you fall like 5 times, I'll get mad at you, but like then I'll still love you. So I feel like now it means so much more to me. So when I do make a mistake, I get it's more upsetting, but at the same time, I think I love skating just as much as I did when I was starting out. So I think that's what keeps me going.
Well, from
Look
that
at
time,
me. I'm like keep dreaming.
Hey, honey, I love the inspirational quotes. You can start posting for me. I'm all about the inspiration. Yeah. TSL quote of the day, Mirai quote of the day. Just keep going.
Well, from that moment, there was tremendous buzz around you. You were kind of the favorite for every event on the Junior Grand Prix. I remember I went late to a college party to watch you skate in Lake Placid on Ice Network back in the day. I didn't tell people what I was doing. But you did sweep the Junior Grand Prix events that season. Did you start to feel that people had expectations for you?
Definitely. Expectations are hard to meet when you think about them, is what I've learned. But I think that with skating, you kind of have to do it for yourself. Like, I went through a period where I really wanted to represent my country, and I was really disappointed that I didn't medal at the Olympics because it was the first time in history that a U.S. skater didn't medal. So I was upset about that. But now that I think about it, I skated a great program, and watching back, like looking back on that performance, sometimes I watch it and it's hard to believe that that's me. And skating last after Joanie Rochette in her home country, after what happened to her mom, it was a lot to handle, even for me, even though I didn't have all the spotlight on me. So I felt like I didn't meet expectations there, but now looking back, I'm so proud of myself for the performances I put out there.
Yeah, it's funny how when it's happening, you're like, I didn't win, I didn't get, but then as you mature, you can look back and think, I was so young, how did I do that? Like, there is that pride that comes along with it.
We never thought the American ladies were going to medal at those Olympics. Like, you were good.
Yeah, you were phenomenal.
You never know, though. Like, who would have thought that Tara Lipinski would win or Shizuka Arakara would win? You know, you just, like, never know what's going to happen. The Olympics is, like, anyone's game.
Well, at that Olympics and before and after, Dave and I have always noted, you are so fast on the ice, Mirai. That is one of the parts of skating that really stands out. So where did you learn to skate so damn fast? I mean, is that something that was drilled into you as a kid? Where did that come from, that speed?
Actually, my mom used to skate with me when I was younger, and we would race around the rink, my mom and I.
Is she a good skater?
She's a good skater, like skating-wise, but I tried to teach her how to spin. She did one revolution right next to the boards before she fell and hit her head on the board. since that moment, she has not put skates on, but she's been a tiger mom regardless, so she's always been there for me.
Well, that was my next question, because in addition to your speed, you have such great flexibility, that Bielman, I mean, the spiral. So was your mom one of those moms that would stretch you when you were a kid? How much time, I mean, was she like pulling your leg up? How much time did you spend stretching when you were young?
A lot. Actually, when I was really young, I used to be able to do the splits really easily because all little kids can do that. But I went to Japan to visit my grandparents, and I came back and wasn't able to do the splits. And my mom was so mad at me. I remember because stretching is something that you have to do every day, and I'm really glad that my parents would help me stretch. Like, they would stretch with me, so they couldn't do the splits, but they were always so encouraging, and they'd be like, Mirai, like, we'll stretch with you. Like, I know it hurts, but like, if you keep doing it, you're young, so you'll be able to do the splits one day. And I guess like that kind of motivation has always inspired me. And they were definitely hard on me, but I think they've made me who I am, and I'm really proud of and grateful to them.
So would it be like the three of you guys just sitting there in the splits watching American Idol? I mean, like just sitting in the living room watching at night?
We didn't have cable. We did it at my parents' restaurant, like
under the tables, like, hey.
No, we have like a little, like, we have the sushi bar, and then the tables, and between that there's like a almost like a runway walkway kind of. So I would pull out my yoga mat from the back.
While people were eating?
No, like during like break hours.
Oh, I was gonna say, that's a nice show. Like, eat some sushi, watch Mirai stretch. I'd pay for that. Fun.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Well, one of the things that commentators always say is that young skaters don't feel the pressure, but you have said that you had a tiger mother. So I guess, when did you first start to feel the pressure of competition?
Well, I think when I got to my first Grand Prix, I was expected to do so well, and I disappointed myself, and I bet tons of people out there when I didn't do as well as I was expected to. So I think my first international circuit senior, I started to feel pressure, and I think it's taken me a long time to figure out how to handle it. And the best way to handle it is to throw away all expectations and just focus on your goals and what you and your coach have trained, and do your job.
Well, you definitely did your job at 2008 at Nationals, where people were expecting Caroline to win, and you just came in with that short program like that. I mean, you were on it. So how much did you want it that season? Did you expect to skate that well and to be first after the short program?
No, absolutely not. Actually, again, my mom comes to it, but she said to me, like, you're 14 years old, and so, I mean, we didn't expect you to win junior, so you're just here, like, just have a good time, and, like, nobody's gonna even watch you, so when I was first in the short program, she came back to me and said, Mirai, like, there are skaters and world champions here, like Kimi Meisner, like, the judges, like, they must have made a mistake. Like, just have fun in the long program, because, like, there's no way you're going to stay in first. And at the time, I was like, yeah, that's totally true. Like, I'm not going to win. So I think with that mindset, it really helped. Like, not in a million years did I believe that I was going to win nationals my first year. So I think in that sense, I didn't feel any pressure, and I just went out there to have fun, and who knew that I would win.
Come home with a gold medal.
Yeah.
Well, that program to I Got Rhythm was so iconic for you, but we did see Asada performing a very similar program with similar choreography in 2013. So just how similar were your programs?
I think she definitely wins in the costume department because I wore pink like raincoat material.
That's cute. You
It
look
was
so
it was
cute.
really cute, but
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to ever wear that dress again, I would not fit into it. And you know, that's the difference between Mao's version and my version is that mine was for a young girl and hers was for a woman.
Was the choreography the same?
I don't know. I didn't actually study it, so
Okay.
I just, you know, like I can only control my own skating, so I just let everyone else do their thing.
Well, you talk about that long program at Nationals, and we saw you miss your double axel, which was the first jump, and many skaters, after missing the first jump, being first place, so young, they would have just self-imploded, but you got it together and went through the rest of that program very, very well. So what was going through your mind after you missed that opening double axel? How did you turn it around?
It was a long time ago, but knowing me, I feel like I was more mad that I had missed a double axel, and going going back and watching the commentators, like I told my mom this is really funny, but I was like, you know what, that commentator set me up to fall on that double axel because she said that she, like, Mirai knows that, like, she needs to hit everything. And I was like, of course I fell, like, but it wasn't her fault. Like, and I'm glad that the fall was on a double axel because it was the lowest amount of points through my whole program.
Well, that next season, we saw you emotional in competition, and commentators would mention a growth spurt, the pressure of now having expectations, as well as a number of injuries. So what was going on that next year?
Well, I was injured that year, but nobody wants to back down from nationals because that's where you, like I said earlier, it's where you get all of your next competitions, like whether it be junior worlds, or it sets you up for the next season because then you get assigned to at the time that would be like junior Grand Prix for me, or even for Grand Prix. And so I really wanted to go out there even though I wasn't in the best condition, and I was very, very scared to even compete because people were telling me that I needed to defend my title, and I wasn't ready to handle all those expectations. So I crumbled under the pressure, and I think I needed that year because I came back stronger in 2010 when it counted.
Yes. Well, you elected not to compete at Junior Worlds in 2009, but you were at the World Championships in Los Angeles for Fuji Television. What was it like being there, watching the event in person?
It was amazing. I remember Evan Lysacek winning there, and I remember he commanded the ice, and he was just amazing. And so I think that's the performance that stood out the most for me, and it was right there at the Staples Center, which was unbelievable. Like I would love to compete there, but I think it was good for me to see that performance, and it really inspired me to, especially with afterwards, I started training with Evan, and I saw how much work he puts into his training. So it takes a lot to put out a performance like he did, and so I think I learned a lot.
Well, you talk about training with Evan, and after that event, you started training with Evan's coach, Frank Carroll. And I remember when I first met Frank, he was so just stoic and calm and kind of scary, to be honest. What were your first impressions of Frank? What did you think before you met him, and then did anything change when you started working with him?
As expected of one of the best coaches in the world, he had really high expectations, and I remember he is very intimidating, and
he doesn't smile a lot. I remember that. It was like to get him to like smile or laugh, it was quite difficult.
I mean, Um, well, yes and no. With my skating, it was hard to make him smile, but outside of the ice rink, um, it was he was much. I don't know how to phrase this, but he's a good coach and a good person. Um, but sometimes it was hard for me to keep up with how strict he was and how I would get kicked off the ice a lot because because I guess I was rebellious even though I didn't really mean to be.
So was it that you weren't doing your programs? Because I remember he was honest. Like, if you missed something, there was no stopping that program. You had to do the spins. You had to do everything.
Um, uh, he was definitely hard to please because I mean, I'm sure you know that even if you fall, he expects you to get up right away.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I had a period of time where I was skating with a stress fracture, and we didn't know that I had a stress fracture because I would go to the doctor and get X-rays and an MRI, and it wouldn't show up. So everyone thought I was being lazy, and I was faking my pain to get out of doing programs and stuff, which really wasn't the case. But I think because of that pain, it took me longer than it should have to get up. And so, I mean, I was glad that when I got a CT scan, it finally showed up. But I definitely wish I had skated pain-free so that I could have gotten up after I fell a little bit quicker so that I wouldn't have gotten kicked off the ice so many times.
I remember I kicked the ice. I missed my opening triplets, and I just kicked the boards really hard. Oh, I was sent off that ice so quickly. There was no kicking the ice with Frank Carroll.
No,
like, out!
There's no kicking the ice at any rink. I don't think. I usually say bad words in like Japanese or something, but like really quietly because I don't want people to hear me.
See, I like the scene. I like to yeah.
Yeah, like I actually I have a really funny story about Triffin. Yes. When he was still competing, I used to skate with him, and he used to have like those outbursts, and that was how he let his stress out. But I remember when I was a little girl, that really used to scare me, coming from Triffin. Like,
he's like a big, tall guy. Like he's not a little like pint-sized man. He's scary.
So he'd be like, and I'd be like, oh my god, like the world is going to end today. Yeah. So I feel like when I try not to do that because I don't want to frighten
the youngins, the little baby Mirais.
Well, athletes always talk about how exciting and yet terrifying the Olympic season is, and you had moments where you did really well in the Grand Prix. You didn't medal overall at those events. So at what point did you feel like you had the confidence to make the Olympic team?
This is a hard question. I didn't know. I didn't know that I was going to make the team, but all I knew and what I could do was that I could try. And I remember it was really hard that year. I mean, I watched Evan training, and Frank would have us do like 2 long programs a day a lot of the time, and it was really hard to get through it. And I didn't know that I was going to make it. I mean, I wasn't world champion like Evan was, and I like you mentioned, I hadn't medaled at the Grand Prix, but all I could do was dream and dream and dream and wish, I guess. So when I did make it, that was a dream come true for me.
Did you feel good getting on the plane to go to nationals, or were the palms sweating more than usual?
Because Sasha Cohen, she was the big story that year that she was coming back. So did you feel like you had a good shot of making the team heading into nationals?
Actually, I did.
Hey, own it, girl.
it's hard to explain because I don't want to take away from Sasha at all, but it's hard with figure skating to be out of the game for so long and then to come back and just try to take it all back. Like I had that mindset that I had been training for such a long time and I had put in so much work. And so I mean, I knew that it was anyone's game that day, and it wasn't like there was a strong competitor or contender who had been doing amazingly. Like there wasn't a Michelle Kwan, so I knew that if I put out my best performance, that I had a good shot at making the team.
Well, commentators often note that getting to the Olympics, making that team, is harder than actually when you get to the Olympics and you're skating there, because that's kind of like the dessert, you know, you're there and you just get to enjoy it. Do you agree with that? And what are your distinct memories of being in Vancouver?
That is not true at all.
Okay, so we've debunked that theory now. The Olympics is very hard.
Yes, it's so much more pressure than I could have ever imagined. And that I remember I think I'm pretty sure I told Frank, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't skate last. Like, I absolutely cannot. Like, why would they do this to me? Like, I'm not Yuna Kim. I'm not Asada. I'm in 6th place after the short program. Like, why would they put me to skate last? Like, that's like I'm the end of the event. Like, what if I like, that would be such a horrible way to go out. Like, to be the end of the event and like
fall
to
5
fail,
times.
Yeah, to fail miserably, that would be horrible. And I think when I told him that, he looked at me and he helped me realize that like it didn't have to be that way. Like I was in control of that moment, and I was trained well, and I mean I still got so nervous. Like it was kind of an out of body experience because like I had to turn my mind off because there were like little things that bothered me so much. Like it was so hot in the arena that in the short program I got a bloody nose, and there were so many people like just watching. Like I could look up and up and up, and there were still people, and I knew somewhere where I couldn't even see, my parents were somewhere up there, and I had my headphones in on full blast, and I remember distinctively that I could still hear everything that was going on because it was so loud in there and there's so many people watching. And when I started thinking about how many people were watching, like I felt like the whole world was watching. I mean, it's like one of the most watched events, and it's only every 4 years that we get this opportunity to compete with the rest of the world and in so many different disciplines. I had to turn it all off and remember that it was just another event, and I wanted it more. I wanted to skate my best because I wanted to be a strong competitor. And so I think it was hard, but I got it done. And now I can look back and be proud of myself instead of upset that I felt 5 times.
Yes, you did not fall 5 times. You've handled that very, very well, Mirai.
Thank you.
Very well.
Well, you skated 2 amazing programs there. Many people still argue that you deserve the bronze medal there. And obviously at those Olympics, it was Yuna and Mao going head to head with all of that tension. So what do you actually remember about skating there? Do you remember skating there? And do you actually enjoy the experience when you're having it at the Olympics under all that pressure?
It was amazing. The Olympic Village, meeting other athletes, the cafeteria, the athlete sign-in, like when you first get to the Olympics, the opening ceremonies. It's just a surreal event, and to have been able to be a part of it is a dream come true. And obviously I was very upset when I didn't get to go a second time because no one Olympics is the same.
Do you remember actually skating there? Like, are there moments in your program that you remember?
Absolutely, yeah. I remember when I have this thing that I do, like, I think I let myself show my nerves a little bit when I first get on ice, but as soon the music gets on, I put on my game face. So I remember distinctively, I was like, oh my God, 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 oh my God. And I was like, it's time.
Hey, yeah,
That's what I remember.
so cute.
Well, you went on to compete in Torino at the World Championships, and you absolutely killed it in the short program, winning the event. And it seemed like a medal was possible. And you made a few errors in a free skate, but you were in a tight field. So you missed a couple of jumps, but came back and then to miss a double axel late in the program. So how much pressure did you feel skating that program at that time at Worlds?
Ooh, I mean, I definitely psyched myself out at that event, and I wish I could go back and redo that whole long program because I just I just let myself think about results instead of my performance, and so I skipped over all of my elements. It was so clear that I just wasn't there that day. Like I just wasn't in the right mindset, and it is very disappointing. That was my only world appearance so far, so I definitely want to go back and redo it. And um, people make mistakes, and I definitely learned from that one. So I, I know now that when you're in such a great position, I can't get ahead of myself, and I have to stay in the moment.
Well, that next season, you came back from a stress fracture to win the short program at Nationals, and a botched spin kept you off of the world team, but you medaled at four continents again that year. So, given that you've experienced kind of the selection committee on all sides of it, do you feel that both four continents and Nationals should be taken into account when selecting the world team like other countries do?
Oh dear, this is a hard question. Um,
Well, I do.
I don't
So,
know. I feel like I respect any decision that ICMS makes, and I think for me, growing up, that this is how we selected the team, with nationals being the selection for the world team, and so um, I think for me it makes sense, but I wish I was going to worlds.
yeah. Well, I
Kind of.
wish so.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I kind of feel like you'd be very good at worlds.
Yeah.
Dave and I talked about that after four continents. That
Yeah, we talked
you've
about it.
proven that you
Yeah.
could do very well if you were on the world team. Just leave it at
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. Well, after 2011, it seemed like you struggled a bit the next 2 years. Frank had moved to Palm Springs. Your mother was fighting cancer. It seemed like it was a really terrible time. So, did you ever feel like you had lost your motivation or kind of your love for the sport at that point?
That was such a difficult year for me because we were making the commute. My mom just wasn't ready to let me out of the nest, and I'm glad she didn't because you I wasn't ready to leave the nest, and I'm sure things would have gone haywire in that route as well. But we were making the commute to Palm Springs, and it was just too much for me. It was too much for my body, and I wasn't able to get the proper amount of training, and I disappointed Frank a lot because I just mentally and physically I was so exhausted from just sitting in the car. And um, looking back, I know a lot of people, um, that commute is nothing for them, and they're so strong-willed that they can push through it and still get their training done. But for me, I just wasn't able to get it done, and so I mean, I wish I could
I
have
think
done
it's hard
things
to work.
differently.
I drove an hour to work each way. How far is it between LA and Palm Springs?
It's 2 hours.
And sometimes
I've,
there's really bad traffic getting into
Yeah,
the desert.
yeah. Even going to Toyota Sports Center from my house, it would take like an hour and a half, and then like 3 hours just to get back.
Yeah.
So LA traffic is so unpredictable, and um, I mean, we spent most of the day in the car. was horrible.
And
Like,
it's hard too. When you get older, your legs cramp up. Like when you're a little kid, you can kind of jump out of the car and do a long program. But when you're older, it's tough. People don't realize how hard it is sitting in that car.
yeah.
Well,
Yes.
you went to nationals that next year. You skated a solid short. Then you came down with the flu and got dinged with under rotations in the long program. This kind of started a discussion about under rotations with you, and it seems like sometimes with skaters, they get pegged as the under rotator, and it's hard to get out of that box. What happened there? And talk us through the under rotations. What happens on those jumps?
Um, it was it's hard. It's hard to be known as a short program skater and not being able to get through a long program. But I definitely could get through a long program. It's just like when the nerves got to me and I didn't know how to handle the adrenaline. I just would get so uptight and tense that was how I my natural mechanism was to stand up on all the jumps regardless of whether it was clean or cheated. So in my mind, I feel, especially because I grew up with the 6.0 system, we're raised to land the jump regardless of how bad it was. So I think it took a long time to and a lot of work to get out of that name. I feel like I'm still trying to fix those under rotations when really in training they're pretty consistently clean, and then just in competition I just hold back just a tiny bit, and that's when those under rotations start to happen, and that's really frustrating, but it's something I just have to work on.
Is it something that you're aware of, like when you go in, or is it something where your body just it's muscle memory at this point, where you're under the competitive lights and you're just like, I gotta land? Is it something that you think about actively when you're out there competing, or has it got to a point? Because we saw it for continents in your long, both triple combinations. They were good. They were rolled as backwards. Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you're past that point where you have to be cognizant of that under pressure?
Tom is definitely a technician, and so we drill and drill and drill and drill. So I think that the mindset going into my jumps is very different now. I'm not thinking about. I think at the beginning of the season, when the program is still new, I let those thoughts in sometimes. But over this past season, as I've gone from competition to competition, there's been less under rotations, and I didn't get any at Four Continents, which was great. But I think we really drilled and drilled and drilled, and that's how I was able to get rid of those. And I think it's a work in progress, and that's why we train every day.
Well, going into 2014, we were on top of your progress because Ann Jensen was texting us updates all the time. We knew that you were working with Krista Fossey, and you were also working with Amy Evidente, though you did part ways after the Rostelecom Cup. Now, between Grand Prix events, you worked with Takashi Mura, though the media claimed that you didn't have a coach, but you had spent some time training in Japan that year. So what was the truth about your coaching situation at that time?
Well, I went to Wendy and Amy because I just couldn't handle the commute anymore, and my parents couldn't handle it either. They actually could not handle my skating, and they're like, you're 18, you got to take care of yourself. Like, you have to be responsible. And so I went back to the rink that I used to train at, and it just wasn't working out for me. And so I decided I needed to get completely out of the country. And I didn't know who would take me on in the middle of the season. So, and I'm actually really good friends with Takahito Mura. And so when I talked to him, I was like, I don't really know what to do right now. He was like, like, you can come out to Japan. Like, my parents will coach you, and like we can be training partners. Like, we can support each other, and like we'll push each other. And I was like, that is exactly what I need right now. I need to get away. I want to learn more about my ethnicity and the culture, and I wanted to travel, but without having to worry about the pressure of competition. So I loved my time there. Everyone was so nice to me, and um, I got to do random things like make soba noodles and um, it just train in the Japanese system, which is so different from in the U.S. And I really enjoyed it, but um, I don't think it wouldn't have worked out for full-time training.
But it was what you needed at that time.
Yes.
Well, we saw you compete in Japan, and it was a rough outing. And then a week later, you really turned it around that season. How were you able to do that, to go from a low and just skate so well so soon after?
Well, with bad performances, any athlete can have a bad performance, but it doesn't mean that they're not in shape or not skating well or don't have the ability to put a good performance out there. It just might have been a bad day for them. And so um, it it was easy to just change my mindset and go out with more determination and to show what my real training had actually been like.
Well, you talked a little bit earlier about heading to nationals in 2010 and feeling like confident that you could make the team. And in 2014, when you arrived at nationals, you looked like you were a woman on a mission. There was no stopping Mirai Nagasu. Is that an accurate statement? Did you feel like you could make that team heading into nationals when you arrived in Boston?
Um, it was like 2010, like deja vu. Like it just that nationals is anyone's game. Like anyone can take that spot and just have the performance of their life. Like Paulina came out of nowhere, I felt like. And so, like it's anyone's game. And so, like I like to think, I think for those two nationals, I went in with a strong goal, and I wanted to show that, like, I wanted to show how hard that I'd been training, and everything else was not in my hands. And obviously, it was hard to accept that decision, but it wasn't in my hands. So I think it was easier to cope with knowing that I did as much as I could have. I mean, maybe 3 points would have made a difference, but just didn't happen that day. And so it's a hard decision for the ICMS to make. So it's not my decision, and so I guess it's easier knowing that for me.
Yeah. Did you have any inkling that a top three finish wouldn't be enough at that point when you were competing or skating at that point?
Well, actually, I had a feeling I wasn't going to make it when I just on the podium and like afterwards, it wasn't the same feeling that I had after the 2010 Olympics. I mean the 2010 Nationals. It just wasn't there. And so I knew that like I had a feeling, and it's the worst when those doubts come true.
Was it a feeling like, did you hear rumbling, or was it just you looked down and you saw Ashley and you thought, oh, like if there's a selection? I mean, was it something just internal, or did you pick up on
it was
something?
the rumbling that you mentioned, and I could just hear it, and the ICMS meeting seemed to take a really long time, and just I guess it just wasn't in the cards for me.
Well, in that long program, you skated so well, but you did double, triple combination. Were you aware of how other skaters had skated up to that point? And when you got off the ice, did you feel like it had been enough, that you had done enough to make the team?
Well, I make it a point to not know how other skaters have done, because it really messes me up. It messes up with my focus. So I had no clue. I like to focus on myself. I like to be really selfish and just be me, 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 me. And so I
How do you
was
block it out
excited.
though? Because it's loud. I mean, you're backstage at nationals, especially this year, the arena was so loud, for each person. You tell the energy that people were doing well. And I just remember at those nationals when the first few girls went, the groans of the sold out crowd was so loud when people would miss. So can you hear that backstage?
Yes, I can, but I'm so in my own zone that it just, I guess, it deflects. It doesn't matter to me. And sometimes I hear scores, and like at nationals, it's kind of easy to write it off because even if it's a high score, because it's the U.S. nationals, it's a little bit inflated. So I think about how
No.
I could get that score too, and then it just like leaves my mind completely. So it's easy to just focus on myself.
I remember that night I had run into Ashley Wagner at the bar. She was coming into the hotel. Everyone was in the bar in the Westin, the way. And I remember she was upset, but she didn't look like someone who had just missed making the Olympic team that was expected to. So it appeared like someone had talked her off of the ledge. So I know that everyone says that you get a text message the next morning, but at what point, I guess, did someone tell you or did you know of the entire decision?
I didn't get the text message. And
Do you
then
know what time the text is going to go? Is it like you're waiting for the guy to text you back? Like, how does this all? Do you know what time the text is?
Like, do they say you will get a text at 9 a.m. and if you don't hear by 9:02, you're off? I mean, how does this? This sounds very cutthroat and scary.
Yeah.
I
don't like this texting. It sounds like red receipts. I'm just very nervous about it.
Hey, I'm all about the red receipts.
I don't actually remember, but I remember that they announced the team in the arena, and I wasn't there, and I just wasn't part of it. So I knew, I was like, I'm not on the team.
Were you able to sleep that night after the long program before hearing? I mean, I would have been like, just tell me now, put me out of my misery. Like,
after any long program, I can sleep, but I called my mom actually, and because she wasn't there, and I was like, I don't think I made it to the Olympics. Like, it just, like, I don't think I did enough, and it just doesn't sound like from the feedback and what I received.
Was it like a weird bus ride? Because you know how everyone in skating is so nice and smiley, but they have those smiles where you know something is up. Is it just like a vibe?
Actually, I didn't stay at the main hotel that year because I just wanted to be away from all the buzz. I wanted to be in my own room. And as you might know, nationals, there's so many people and there's so much going on. And I felt like I needed to be in my own zone, in my own hotel. Yeah. It wasn't
Mirai
my
needed her own whole hotel. Just
I rented out the whole hotel for myself. No,
I love it, diva.
You're like Beyonce giving birth, you know, the entire hospital. Well,
missed it all.
Well, one of the criticisms of the selection was that you weren't named to the world team. And in '92, Paul Wiley made the Olympics, but they sent Mark Mitchell to Worlds. Would that have made any difference in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've only gone to Worlds once, so I always want to go back. And I mean, it would have been great, but like I said, it just wasn't in the cards, I guess, and it wasn't my decision, and it made it a lot easier to get over. It took a really long time, and I cried a lot. Like, I didn't know I could cry that much. But I think it's made me a lot stronger as a person, as cheesy as this sounds. Like, anything that skating, the great thing about skating and sports in general is it teaches you so much, and it teaches you to become stronger and to handle things better. And so it makes I guess it makes handling other things easier, and so I have to appreciate that as well.
Well, you skated so well at nationals, and that season there was some talk that perhaps your program could have had more transitions. There is an unnamed male host of the skating lesson that liked to discuss that it seemed like you were taking a smoke break in the middle of your long program. What are your thoughts about that? Do you have anything to say to this male host of the skating lesson?
I mean, I've heard that they a lot of things, and I completely agree. I have to work on my transitions, and I guess I guess I'm just an honest soul, and when I'm tired, I accidentally show it too much, and I need to get into character more. Um, but getting through a long program is really, really hard,
Really, really hard. Yeah.
especially when so many people are watching you and people are judging you. Like, if I need to take a break and I need a breath, like, I'm gonna take that breath. I'm so sorry.
And don't apologize for it. Okay.
So, how long did it take you to decide to continue skating after that season?
I mean, that would be kind of tragic if I just like went away and just quit. Like,
No, but I could see taking a moment or like not being sure. You know, I would be pissed. I would probably throw everything out related to skating and then, you know, come back to earth, you know, for a moment.
Yeah,
So
did you have those doubts after nationals of, I mean, you talk about
Yeah,
crying,
of
the
course.
soul searching of, why am I doing this?
I think especially as a female, our the way we approach things is very different. I feel like from males, and we're very critical. So, um, the worst thing that I let myself believe was that I wasn't good enough to be on that team, and like it was hard to get over that feeling because like it's hard to be like bumped over and that person who doesn't get anything, like just
Yeah.
it's hard. But the thing that I realized, and it took me a really long time to realize, was that I could still get better if I put my mind to it. And I wanted to be that person who didn't give up. Like, I didn't want to leave skating when it wasn't on my terms. Like, I don't know if I'll get that moment where it's just like, you know, it's your final moment. And like, I want that moment where I know I'm done skating. And I haven't had that moment yet, like where I'm like, I've done everything that I can or could have, like, and there's nothing else I can do. Like, that's the moment that I'm still waiting for. And I guess I want to just keep going until I have that moment where like my body is breaks.
Talk about the tenacity and having to kind of come back from a tough time and not wanting to go out on somebody else's terms, that you were going to see it through the end. And we saw last season, not this 2015-2016 season, but the 2014-2015 season, that there were some ups and downs, a rough fall at nationals during the long program, but you continued on. And then when we visited last summer, we saw a complete change in just your aura. It seemed like you were in your own little world, that you were so focused, and that really has carried throughout this last season, 2015-2016. So to what do you attribute that change? Because it's been really notable, just that focus that you have now.
I think my mindset changed when I moved to Colorado for skating, and I left the nest and started working with Tom. He is very difficult to get along with unless oh, look who came.
Oh, hi, Lincoln. You know that I was asking for you.
Yeah. Look how old he is. He's not, but he looks
He's
like
so sweet.
an old man.
He didn't like when we were there that day and you were not paying attention to him and you were figure skating. Or he did not.
Yes.
He missed his mommy.
Wait, I had to take him to the vet that day.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so he came.
He's very, very needy. Like, he and I sleep together with him in my arms like this.
He's a mama's boy.
We are. Grace, he's so cute. I want to invent a teddy bear that's like heated, so like everyone gets to experience sleeping.
Aw.
That's what I always say about my dog. I'm like, it's a real life teddy bear. Like it's when you're
Yeah.
a kid. Yeah, it's just the bundle of love.
The best. I mean, I wish he didn't poop and pee, but
You know,
it
nothing's
happens.
perfect. You
Yeah.
learn to love picking up that poop.
Yes. Well, so what I was saying is that Tom is very hard to work with because he and I weren't on the same page. Like I think at the beginning it took me a lot longer to get up to his level. And so now we get along great. I mean, we all have our arguments, but he wanted me to be ready a lot sooner than I was ready for, and I think him pushing me to get myself in shape and to get it together really helped me, and I guess he trained that level of determination into me, and so for that I'm so grateful to Tom.
Well, this summer we were beyond impressed to watch you train the triple axel. I remember filming you and you were doing them like right at me and they were very, very close. And you went for every one of those attempts no matter how hard you fell. So how close have you gotten to landing it cleanly, and have you landed it cleanly?
I've gotten it to where it's been a quarter, but unfortunately my snap, this is what Tom tells me, isn't fast enough. Like I just got to get that snap a little bit faster consistently because I have the height to get the triple axel done, but I just need more reps and muscle memory. And so I mean, like you said, I'm willing to take hard falls, and I'm willing to at least try to get it into my repertoire, and I think that's what's really important for me.
Now, Tom had you trying it in your short program earlier this season. Did you feel at the time it was competition ready?
No, absolutely not. I mean, at Broadmoor, when there wasn't as much pressure, I did a pretty good job with it. But I mean, we took it out right away because I said to him, it just isn't ready, and it's not worth getting the deduction for. I want this year to be strong, and I want to get back in the game. And I think maybe next season is when I really start to drill this jump and get it into my repertoire. And he understood that, and he knew I needed a good year to make myself gain confidence in my skating. And I needed this year to feel like I was on the right track. And so I think now we'll definitely work harder and train that triple axel more than ever. And I mean, I want to be part of the top pack. And so whatever it takes, like if it means taking hard falls until I get this triple axel, or if I don't get it, I mean, still, regardless, I'm proud that I'm trying it. And I mean, Christy Yamaguchi used to train it, Tanya Harding, Midori Ito. Like there's no failure in trying, and so that's my mindset with this jump.
Well, it seemed at the beginning you were someone that was so effervescent on the ice, and then for a while you didn't smile when you competed, but it seems like this year you really loved your programs, to The Great Gatsby and to Demons. Mm-hmm. So talk us through your programs this season, your choices, and the headband.
Well, first, I have to say that it's hard to smile when, like, you know, people are judging you, and, like, you don't, like, there's so many, like, what ifs that can happen going through someone's mind. And competing is hard. Like, putting yourself out there is so hard. So, like, I had to train that smile, and we worked on it. I worked with Drew. I worked with Katarina to, like, get my performance points up. And so whether I was like feeling like I had pneumonia or not, or I was dying at the end of my program, I was trained to smile. And the great thing was we mostly worked on it at the end of the program because that was when I said to them, like, I don't know that I have the focus, and I don't know if I can actually, like, smile at the beginning. Like, there's so much going on in my mind that, like, I don't know if I can do it. And at nationals, looking, like, after watching the video, I saw myself smile, like, in the middle and stuff. And so I was like, hey, like,
I did
I was,
it. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, I'm starting to like be able to perform again. Like it feels so good.
Well, I just want to say, it makes such a difference watching you, like, because you're such a gorgeous skater, and it makes you, like, we can't take our eyes off of you when you bring that face and you draw us in. You have that intangible thing, so bring it next season, because it's
Now, have you always picked your music, or did you have more? It seemed like it felt like as a viewer that you had more.
Yeah,
of
that
a
you had a connection
part.
to these programs.
Well, with my short program, I completely picked it. First, Adam choreographed a show program for Stars on Ice, and I loved it so much. Like, I just asked Katerina to turn it into a short program, and I still love it. So I've listened to it so many times, and I still love it, which is great. But for music, I feel like it's not just my decision. I mean, I'm the person who listens to it and skates to it every day, but I feel like a choreographer has to have a say in the music as well, because it's their vision and my skating coming together. And when that really meshes well and integrates together, that's when you have a masterpiece. So Demons, I brought to Katerina, and I was like, I really feel a connection to this music. I love it so much. I want to skate to it. What do you think? And she was like, you know what? I love it too. So let's do it. And then with Gatsby was something she brought to the table, and she was like, Mirai, like, what do you think of this music? Like, it's like sexy, it's got fun music, it's got like contemporary music. Like, what's your opinion? And like, I know I've gotten criticism for how many music edits I have, but regardless, I love it so much. Like,
Didn't matter. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, speaking of exhibitions, we've really fallen in love with your exhibition this season, which is a very sexy Mirai. So have you considered making that a short program?
I love I Put a Spell on You, and I actually Alex Johnson choreographed it for me, and he really pushed me to be that type of sexy. But I don't think it'll make a appearance as a program, because I feel like so many people have skated to I Put a Spell on You this year that in competition and in exhibitions, that I think it's been a little overused now.
Do you have any insight in terms of what you're planning on skating to next season? I mean, are you thinking sexy? Are you thinking fun again? What
Not
Mirai
at all.
are we going to see? All right, you don't know yet.
Do you have any suggestions, though? I'm open to them.
Anything that can bring out your sass.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
have that little attitude, like, we want to capitalize on, we're choreographing your program. We capitalize on that attitude.
Remember the heart that you taught me that you used to do in your program? Love it.
We got to put that in. You have to start your slow section with a heart. Yeah. Just don't
And
skate
then
to
I'll
the beat.
breathe. I'll
Yeah.
like breathe
Breathe and like
very
take a
subtly,
little
but like hopefully the camera will be on my feet so they won't notice.
You will tell the commentators, yeah, and then that's when you can just like take your smoke break. Yeah.
It was only
Oh
the
my God.
Bond program. It was just, she would always make this face every time when she had to stop in the music.
Breathing out that. We love it.
I was in character. I was just smoking my cigarette, but I don't know how to do that obviously in real life, because I wouldn't be able to get through a long program if I did.
Say no to meldonium as well. No cigarettes, no Russian drugs. Well, we usually end our interviews by saying names, but we want to do something a little different with you. We want to ask you some fun questions. So Dave has been dying to go to your parents' sushi restaurant because he wants to try the Mirai roll. Can you tell us what is in this roll? What's on it?
The Olympics were a long time ago, so I'm sure they've discontinued that roll. But we have fun rolls at the restaurant, like the high five roll and the Nikaido roll, which is one of my parents' really loyal customers' rolls. Like they replaced my roll.
You weren't eating there enough.
It is. My parents' restaurant is amazing, though. I can vouch for that.
What is the name of it so we can put it here for our viewers?
It's called Restaurant Kiyosuzu. It's a mouthful, but I don't know why my parents didn't go with like good sushi. But
Jenny,
it's
we're gonna go.
AI.
Mariah
Yeah,
can
you
stretch
have to
there.
go.
Yes, will you stretch in between the tables for us? We'll do a little
Yeah.
piece.
I'll show you the storage room that I used to sleep
Yes.
in.
Yes, give us a behind the scenes. And we want to stretch with your parents too. They can give
Yeah.
us a stretch. I want your mom to chase me. We'll get her on the ice.
Apparently, my mom and dad are really cute. That's what all my friends say. Like, Alex Johnson has been to my parents' restaurant, Adam Rippon, like, Mao Asada has been to my parents' restaurant too. Like, my parents love skaters, and
We
like,
should coordinate like a TSL. All these skaters come, just have a big party. And everybody can come eat sushi and we'll
my
film it
parents
all.
would love that,
Make it
honestly.
happen.
Well, you famously said that you were looking forward to getting free stuff when you made the Olympics, and you talked about Evan getting a Cartier watch from Japanese fans. So what are the best gifts you've ever gotten from the Japanese fans, Mirai?
Actually, wait 1 second, okay?
Pause.
Where's
Lincoln, come see me.
Darian?
We need to start to get some Japanese fans. Konnichiwa. Yeah. Do you know what I was thinking today at the rink? I was thinking I was going to get Rosetta Stone. I wonder if they have it. No, literally, like, I would train for this. I want to do I have this vision, a whole TSL show in Japanese. It may be like a 3-minute show, but I think we could learn.
I think Mirai could teach us.
Yeah, I know a little bit. Ichi ni son shi go.
I get sushi like 4 times a week because
I love
I
sushi.
can't cook.
So Mirai,
yeah.
can you teach us Japanese? Listen to this. Konnichiwa, o genki desu ka? Hai, watashi wa tomodachi desu. Mirai, watashi wa chocolate suki desu. Was that good?
That was pretty good. Wow.
Hey.
Your manner of speaking fast really works in your favor.
And really high pitch too.
Like, I got this today in the mail.
Oh my gosh, somebody painted. Who's Allie? Shout out to Allie.
Yeah, shout out to Allie. She's a fan from Japan, and I love that it says, believe in yourself.
We love that.
Do they have your home address, or are they sending this to the rink? What is
happening? To the rink.
Mm. Oh, I like that woman that works at the front desk at Colorado. She was funny.
They're all so nice.
Very, very nice. Well, our next question is, so Ann Jensen, she likes to sass. We know this. She sassed with Dave. What do you have a good Ann Jensen sass story? Did she used to sass you when you skated at Toyota? No, she was on her best behavior around Mirai.
I was so young. Like, I probably wouldn't have gotten any of her jokes.
Well,
I mean, I think my mom dealt with her. Like, that would be so weird. My mom can barely speak English too. I mean, she completely understands it, but she would rather not. She'd rather talk through me. So.
Well, Anne once said that my skating gave her anxiety and that she would prefer if I never competed again. So I did it.
Keep it real.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you guys are the skating lessons, because you give and receive criticism really well.
Hey, we own it.
Yeah.
True.
Well, my boss always tells me that I'm too old and that I need to be married off and that I'm not looking young anymore. So, okay.
I can give you the name of my dermatologist. Some Botox.
There's an app called Tinder or Bumble or Grindr.
I'm on Bumble.
It's the newest one.
Yes, it is. I'm up to date with all my apps.
Yeah. Well, Tom Z is known for invoking the praises of Rachel Flatt when it comes to timing his laps around the rink. Now, she was one of your major competitors. He even made the mistake of bringing up Anne Patrice in front of Jenny. So have you ever wanted to tell him to cool it?
I have.
So what is your best Tom Z story? Because we love him. Do you have any good stories you can share with us?
Let's see. This is hard.
I know
one thing. Yeah, this isn't a story, but one thing I've learned about Tom Z is that if there's anyone more stubborn than me, it's him. So, like, when we get into a fight, like, I just, like, bow down because like, I cannot win. Like, he'll
Oh, no, keep going.
Oh, he's the type of coach where, like, Can you hear my dog growling? Sorry. But um he's the type of coach where he doesn't take no for an answer. And um one time I told him I couldn't do my long program. I think like I think my skate wasn't feeling right, so I wanted to fix it. And he was like, "No, you are doing this program right now because I said so, and like you need to get it done in any situation, like regardless of what's going on with you." And I was like, "I don't want to get hurt. Like I'm not doing it." Like, and he was like, "No, you are." And he played the music, and so I walked through the first jump because I like he played my music so fast that I didn't have time to like get ready. He played it and I was like, "Oh, okay, like let's go." Like but then he was like, "Fine, you don't want to do it? Like don't do it then. Like that's fine." And then I got kind of upset. I was like, "No, like you've made a point. Like I want to be able to do it in any situation, so I'll do it." And he's like, "You missed your chance and your opportunity, so you're done." And he took my phone and put it in his briefcase.
Was this on Commitment Wednesday?
No, it
Oh,
was
just
How
just a
many days of
regular
the week
day.
are there? I know that there's long until it's clean day. There's commitment
Those are
Wednesday.
the worst.
Like, have
Every
you ever
day
been there
is
just doing your long over and over and over again until you got that thing clean? Oh, bless.
no, like once the first run through is when we try really hard, and then the second one we try until we make a mistake, and then we like are like zombies or like
It's like it's done. It doesn't
And
matter
then-
after this point.
yeah. But I think the point, like we get the point, and we hate it regardless. But like. Training is training. And he comes in with like an agenda of all like 365 days of the year. So
How
when
many
you're
charts
that
does he have? How many charts does
I
he
don't
have?
know.
Because
He
he has all
has-
those markings in his book with the grades and the
Yes. And I'm really competitive, so like he'll do random ones where everyone will be have an equal shot kind of, and have things like how many revolutions can you do in a camel spin, and like regardless of whether the skater is really young or better than me or whatever it is, I'm like I want to win, and when I don't I get like a little butthurt.
That's good though. We like you. You're one of us. You're the same way.
Thank you.
Well,
I have another funny story.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So last week, he showed me this paper. Sorry about my dogs if you can hear them. They're like rah, but there is this paper with like so many axle takeoffs. Like it says like a clean edge is good, a little skid is good, a big skid is bad. Like when you have squiggles, it's like horrible. And then he like turned the paper over and there's like scribble all over the back of this paper, and he's like, I've had this paper for 12 years. And so when when my daughter was a lot younger, she just took it and scribbled all over it, and I still have it. And I was like, wow, dedication.
I would say I feel like going into his office, it's probably just graphs and chalkboards. I mean, he's one committed man. It's phenomenal. Now, we just saw Lincoln. Who takes care of Lincoln when you're away competing? Do you have a group of people?
I have some great friends like Alex Johnson, and I also have put them in the doggy hotel because they love it so much. It's a hotel where they have webcams too, so I can check up on their progress, and they get to play with other dogs.
Well, our final question, we know that you're huge in Japan. Dave and I love our Japanese fans. What is the secret to getting in? We want to get some of these nice gifts. What do we need to can you teach us a phrase we could say? Like
a drawing.
Yeah, we would love to get a TSL drawing.
Yeah.
We want to just appeal to the Japanese audience because we love them so much. Can you teach us something that
we
can
bought Winnie the
say?
Pooh's last year before Worlds for Hanyu.
How do we say we love you? Thank you for watching. How do we say thank you for watching the skating lesson?
スケーティングレッスン見てくれてありがとうございます. Oh, it's kind of long.
I know arigato gozaimasu in
Say
skating.
like 見てくれてありがとうございます. Like 見てくれて is like thank you for watching.
Can you say it again?
Like, for watching.
Okay,
見てくれて
mite ko David tell
く
you.
れ
Kurete.
くれて
Kurete.
Close
No.
enough.
Midete kurete the skating lesson. Arigato gozaimasu.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Hi.
That's what this is my random moment because
Have a random
butchered that.
Did I say something really bad? Okay.
Maybe we should put subtitles.
I think we need something. Rosetta Stone, that's what I was telling Dave when you went to get your drawing. I'm going to start. I think they probably have Japanese Rosetta Stone. Come back at the next season. You'll come on again. Well, Mirai, we have had so much fun talking to you. Thank you for coming on the skating lesson.
Thank you
We hope that you continue this trend that we've seen at Nationals and Four Continents. Just ride that wave. We can't wait to see your new programs. And we got to take a trip to TSL on the road to your parents' restaurant.
Yeah, we want to see all of the sex and the
Absolutely.
sass next season. And we'll do a GoFundMe to your parents' restaurant.
But don't go without me because, or
Oh!
like they won't know. Like they'd be like,
Who are these people with their camera? We should have fans come. We should have a whole like Mirai meet and greet. TSL. Make it happen.
They
Donate
would
to our
love that.
GoFundMe. We would love it too. Well, we hope you have a great rest of your night. Thank you again, Mirai.